Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah. One more time. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, don't stop the dancing. One more time. I'm just feeling celebration tonight. Celebrate, don't wait too late. No, we don't stop. You can't stop. We're gonna celebrate. One more time. One more time. One more time. A celebration. No, we're gonna do it right tonight. Hey, just feeling. Music's got me feeling the need. Yeah. Come on. Alright, we're gonna celebrate. One more time. Celebrate and dance so free. Music's got me feeling so free. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Celebrate and dance so free.
Welcome everyone. I'm your host Jason of Awake Souls, and unfortunately we're not being joined live in the studio with the Limitless one tonight. I'm sure you've seen him in the chat already. He's not feeling well, so it's going to be a solo run for me tonight on New Year's Eve. So we'll see how this goes. We've got a new release video coming out. So Ronnie finished making a new video last night, and then he came down with, I don't know if we're even allowed to say this word anymore, the flu. I had it earlier this week. Some people that are older might remember the flu. All right, it hit me real hard earlier this week, and now it's got him. So we're praying that everybody out there has I don't know why there would be an echo. Let me take a couple looks around. There should not be an echo. Can I get a 5x5 from the chat? What? Good. Okay. Yeah, there shouldn't be one. So we are going to be premiering that video during this stream tonight. We're going to be playing Ronnie's new Flat Earth video. It's called Flat Earth Resurrections. He wants everybody to know that this is IMAX quality. When we go to play it, this is turn the lights out, turn the volume up, put the headphones on, watch it on a big screen. Don't watch it on a cell phone if at all possible. And yeah, I'm excited because I've heard him in the production of this video, and so I know what's in it, but I have not watched the whole video myself yet. In fact, I've only seen bits and pieces of it. So when I hit play on that video, I'm going to be watching it for the first time too, and I'm super excited as well. I'll have to watch it back where I can put it all full screen and I'm not watching it through OBS Studio and stuff. But so that's exciting. We'll be doing that, and also going to do a little bit of a year in review. So without having a co-host here to bounce things back and forth, I'm going to be relying on you in the chat more tonight. I'm going to be watching for comments, questions, that type of stuff, to respond to y'all tonight. And so here we are, the end of 2021. Who thought that we would ever make it this far, right? But we have. So 2022, for a lot of people, they're already in it right now. So half the world right now is probably already in 2022, and the western half is going to be coming into it soon. So it's what do we have in store coming up this January? Well, for those that have been following along, there's been a lot of talk about things from the January 5th to the January 11th time period. There's things like the five you-know-whats is supposed to become active. There's a whole lot of volatility where the fake Russia, Ukraine thing, it looks like that's ready to get kicked off. Putin's saying that no more pushing him around, otherwise it's going to be war. So we've got the prospect of World War III on the horizon, which is something biblical that we've been waiting for. And yeah. So we'll see how that all goes. If we get past this early part of January, then we're going to be back into our usual watch for the Hebrew festival days. We'll be going back to looking at Passover coming up again and all that kind of stuff. Let me give some shout outs to people in the chat. Hello to YD, Joseph Bender. YD, the moderator, the best moderator on YouTube. Joseph Bender. Let's see, we've got Lex Fan Man. We've got Jerry Lewis Albert Jr. We've got Frank Logic. We've got, who else? We've got some new people in the chat. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so thank you for all joining. Tell us what's going on in your part of the world. What are you paying attention to? What's on your mind? How are you feeling? Has everybody else been skipping the flu? Hopefully, it was brutal. It was the worst body aches I've had in so long. It was crazy. I finally sort of broke through today when I got up and was just starting to feel better, and that's when Ronnie went the other direction. So there's all that. I don't know, maybe how many people we got here? We got 35 watching right now. Let's see if we can get it up to maybe about 40 people watching, and then we'll watch Ronnie's Flat Earth video, Flat Earth Resurrections, and then we'll have something to talk about afterwards. And then after that, we'll do a little bit of a year in review where I go through. So we've been bouncing back and forth between the Awake Souls channel and the Limitless channel because, excuse me, I'm not 100% well yet. So I've had 2 strikes multiple times, and you'll see that we did New Year's Eve on the Limitless channel last year because I was on 2 strikes, and then we went back to the Awake Souls channel, and then I got 2 strikes again, and back to the Limitless channel, and now we're back here. So we'll be sort of flip-flopping back and forth between the 2 channels and reviewing what took place this last year. We'll see how many people remember what all took place. Let's see here. Just looking at comments. Well, I don't know. What should I ramble about? Or should we just start playing the video? It's a lot harder when you don't have a co-host to flip things back and forth to. You gotta keep things rolling. Let me tell you what I've got planned for this next year. I've got to get the True Names video redone. All right. So one of the things that happened this last year is we've been using the true names of the Creator and the Christ, but what we found out is that we had a little bit of a pronunciation error. So we were using Yahawahashai and Yahawah, and so through correction from #Team Yahawahashai, what we did is we made a couple tweaks. So the video, when people want to know about the true names of the Creator and the Christ, I don't have the video to hand them right now that has the accurate pronunciations and spellings that we're using right now. You can see that in the lower thirds that are running across the screen. You can see it in the description box, but need to re-up a video that actually spells it out and the reason why we made the changes and all that kind of stuff. So that's a bigger project that's going to take a little bit of time. That's an important one. That's got to be the first one to check off. I would like to make some more Flat Earth videos like Ronnie just did. Nobody's making Flat Earth videos anymore. Back when we first got into Flat Earth, there were just new Flat Earth videos each and every day, sometimes 10, 20 of them. And of course they were all promoting an impossible model of Earth, but they still had the Flat Earth proofs in it. There was, the airplane landing on a spinning Earth. They showed how if it was rotating, the airplane would not be able to hit the runway if it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour sideways. If you're landing on a north-south runway, you're going to have a serious problem there. there's so many of those. So what Ronnie did is he compiled a bunch of the most basic, fundamental, undeniable proofs, and there's just so many other aspects to flat Earth that could be elaborated on after this as well. So I'd love to make some of those. I haven't been out recording with the P1000 for a while, so I would like to actually do more filming. Just having that raw footage is super important to me, and so I got to get out and I got to film more. If the year just continues to go on without the Great Tribulation getting started, Ronnie and I have plans for actually doing more skit-like productions. It could be man on the street type stuff. It could actually just be us doing skits where we're recording things, putting things together like a regular production, and that kind of stuff seems fun. We would like to keep people entertained, have some good laughs out of all this. It helps take down the bitter pill of finding out that you're not on a spinning ball, because it is a little bit of a bitter pill, because it does isolate you from a whole bunch of people in this world. So maybe if there was some good laughs involved in it, it'll be a little bit easier to take. Let's see, where are we at? Hey, we're up to 41 views I'm seeing right now. So let's go ahead and get ourselves ready for the premiere of Flat Earth Resurrections by the Limitless Channel. And once again, I'm going to say, turn the lights down, turn the audio up, have headphones on, try to watch this in front of a big screen if you can. I'm excited about this. So, all right. Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready? I want to hear from the chat. Who's ready? Who wants to see this new video? I want to see it. I want to see it. All right, so I'm going to switch this over, and let's go ahead and check this out.
You can stay where you are. 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 You can stay where you are.
Hi, welcome to the Limitless Channel. Today, I'm going to be showing you the reasons why I myself know that I'm on a flat and stationary Earth. My research into this study has been ongoing since December of 2014, when a channel by the name of Matrix Decode approached me with an issue of censorship in a truther community I was a moderator of. Now, the first thing I did was uncensor Matrix post and apologize for the issues he had faced. What happened next was something I could never have expected. Being the curious person that I am, I decided to look into this outlandish claim that I read Matrix post about. His post went on to state, Earth's surface was covered by roughly 72% ocean water, and that water always finds its level at rest, and that Earth itself had never been proven to move at all. After taking a few weeks to research this topic, I stumbled upon the Salar de Uyuni. I was looking for the largest flat area that I could match with the Earth's so-called curvature for measurements. Once I investigated the Salar and did the modeling in my mind, I had to sit down. My entire worldview was shattered. It then went on to take me about 2 weeks of being absolutely dumbfounded at the conclusions I had reached. The size of the Salar being nearly 4,000 square miles, with a straight linear measurement of over 80 miles in length, created the hugest error the globe had ever seen. The only models that I could produce absolutely destroyed the possibility of Earth's surface being curved at 8 inches squared per mile. The issue only became worse as I added in the factor of Earth's radius, with a small measurement of only 3959 miles. If you model the drop needed with these factors, you will find the error arises that the edges of the Salar would be roughly 1,299 meters above the Earth's needed curvature drop. So my friends, welcome to your new reality. Please sit back and enjoy the video. If you enjoy this content, please share it with anyone who is looking for the truth. I present to you the true flat earth research from a couple of carpenters in Austin, Texas. Okay, let's start off with the simple water level. How does the water level work? A water level works on the principle that liquid always seeks its own level. It doesn't matter if the body of water is a bathtub or a lake, as long as there are no outside influences at work, such as wind or tides. It says here, the water at one end of the body of water is the same height as the water at the other end. Let's look what's beside here. It says, water level device. We go on to read here. A water level in Greek. I can't read that. Is any device utilizing the surface of liquid water to establish a local horizontal plane of reference used to determine the apparent inclination of an object or surface, and for matching elevations of locations that are too far apart for a spirit level to span.
So now that we have established that water is how we build reality, keeping everything level,
let's check out a clip from Jason Laufenberg of the Awake Souls YouTube channel as he explains his flat earth river proof.
Rivers debunk the possibility that we live on a sphere. A video I published August 24, 2016 defines the experiment that anyone can do. That video is a result of me personally living on a river and experiencing a historic flood. As a result of the flood, I became deeply aware that my house sat 400 feet above sea level. I measured the distance from my house to the coast in a straight path with Google Earth and discovered my house was 143 miles from the coast where the river I live on empties into the Gulf of Mexico. The required curvature for 143 miles is 13,632 feet, minus the 400 feet elevation, and the river is 13,232 feet below an observer positioned at the point where the river empties into the Gulf, and it can be documented that the water has been flowing downhill until it got to the Gulf. That means that the water has to be running uphill 13,232 feet from my house to get to the coast. The only explanation that has ever been given for how this could be possible is gravity. In order for the explanation to have any merit as evidence, the defendants must provide a scaled experiment where they can replicate water on a sphere flowing uphill into another body of water larger its size. And the model must allow scaled versions of insects and clouds and air currents to perform the way we observe.
think we have other options. Submit or succumb to the virus. There's no other way you'll survive this.
Well, I think it's time that I show everybody the Salar de Uyuni. Salar de Uyuni, or Salar de Tunapa, is the world's largest salt flat, or playa. At over 10,000 square kilometers, roughly 4,000 square miles in area, it is in the Daniel Campos province of Potosí in southwest Bolivia, near the crest of the Andes at an elevation of nearly 12,000 feet above sea level. They go on to say, the Salar was formed as a result of transformations between several prehistoric lakes that existed around 40,000 years ago. Yeah, I'd like to see your evidence for that. But had evaporated over time. It is now covered by a few meters of salt crust, which has an extraordinary flatness with an average elevation variation within 1 meter over the entire area of the Salar. The crust serves as a source of salt and covers a pool of brine, which is exceptionally rich in lithium. The large area, with clear skies and exceptional flatness of the surface, make the Salar ideal for calibrating altimeters and apparently observing fake satellites. Following rain, a thin layer of dead calm water transforms the flat into the world's largest mirror, 80 miles across. The Salar serves as a major transport route across Bolivia and is a prime breeding ground for several species of flamingos. The Salar de Uyuni is a part of Bolivia in South America. The Altiplano is a high plateau which was formed during the uplift of the Andes Mountains, including freshwater and saltwater lakes as well as salt flats, and it is surrounded by mountains with no drainage outlets. So the key things that we need to look at here, so if we want to figure out what the shape of our realm is, let's do some more investigation into the shape of our realm. What we have here is roughly 3,900 square miles, or in a linear measurement, 80 miles across, at also an elevation of 12,000 feet. So if we were to pull up what Awake Souls Jason Laufenberg has shared with us, we now have our Earth curve calculator. So what we do here on this chart is we go down. We go down the chart because it's 80 miles, it says 80 miles across. So when we do the math here, it turns out there should be 4,268.18 feet drop in the 80 miles. And when we go back to the article, it clearly says here, it is now covered by a few meters of salt crust, which has an extraordinary flatness with an average elevation variations within 1 meter. So if we were to calculate the curve drop for 80 miles, and if we do the comparison, let's pull up the calculator. We get a result of 1,300 meters drop. But what we're registering here is only 1 meter of variation.
First-degree fraud against humanity. We will present as many evidences of such within the allotted time, but can assure the jury that our evidence is not limited and could span hundreds if not thousands of hours if given the opportunity. Globe Debunked number 1. No curvature. Due to the defendant's claim that we are on a sphere, there in fact has to be curvature. As shown here for a globe of a radius of 3959 miles, the necessary formula for curvature is 8 inches per mile squared. While not perfect in its calculations, all heliocentric model supporters agree that there must be curvature, and that there must be at least this much, which means that at a distance of 30 miles, there must be at least 600 feet of drop from any observer at ground level. Because the burden of proof is on the globe for such claims, demands the defendants provide at least one location where the required amount of drop from an observer can be measured, that is testable, verifiable, and repeatable by all members of the jury. Keep in mind that this should not be difficult if we lived on a sphere, because this curvature should be found everywhere. Globe Debunked number 2. Water at rest is flat and level. Due to the testable, verifiable nature of water, we know that water always maintains level and is flat when at rest. In a glass of water, a bathtub, a lake, and an ocean, water rests level and flat. If water constitutes 71% of Earth's surface area, Earth being a sphere is impossible. If the defendant's claim is that the oceans cling to a sphere, such a claim must be demonstrated with a scaled experiment to have any credibility at any scale they suggest is correct.
So now, I'd like to take a look into where I live, North America. What we have is the Great Plains. The Great Plains, sometimes simply put the Plains, is a broad expanse or flatland in North America. It is located west of the Mississippi and east of the Rockies. Much of it is covered in prairie and grassland. It is in the southern and main part of the interior plains, which also include tallgrass prairie between the Great Lakes and the Appalachian Plateau. The term Western Plains is used to describe the region of the Great Plains, and alternatively, the western portion of the Great Plains. The Great Plains lies across both central United States and western Canada, encompassing the entirety of the U.S. states of Kansas, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, parts of the U.S. states of Colorado, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, Wyoming, the southern portions of the Canadian provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. The term Great Plains usually refers specifically to the United States portion of the ecozone, while the Canadian portion is also known the Canadian Prairies. In Canada, it covers southeastern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, and a narrow band of southwestern Manitoba. These provinces, collectively known as the Prairie Provinces. The entire region is known for supporting extensive cattle ranching and dry land farming. The term, quote, Great Plains, end quote, is used in the United States to describe a subsection of the even more vast interior plains, which covers much of the interior of North America. It also has a currency as a region of human geography, referring to the Plain Indians and the Plain Estates. The extent. Here's the good part of the Great Plains. The region is about 500 miles east to west and 2,000 miles north to south. Much of the region was home to the American bison herds until they were hunted to near extinction during the mid to late 19th century. It has an area of approximately 500,000 square miles. Current thinking regarding the geographic boundaries of the Great Plains is shown by this map. The boreal plains of Western Canada are physiographically the same, but differentiated by their tundra and forest rather than grassland appearance. So generally, what I'm trying to point out here is this section of land, if you've ever driven through it, you will find that it's absolutely flat. So whether we want to go to the Salt Flats, and we want to look at its 80 miles, or if you want to look at the Great Plains. So again, the Great Plains, what I'm showing everybody right here, the region is about 500 miles east to west and 2,000 miles north to south. We look at the map here. This is the area that I'm talking about, minus the Canadian part. Here's a better map. The Great Plains of North America. The Great Plains of North America extend east from the Rocky Mountains and run north-south all the way through the United States and through most of Canada. The Great Plains can be subdivided into the low plains and the high plains. The high plains are in the western half, a long narrow strip, nearest of the mountains. And the low plains are in the eastern half, a long narrow strip near the Mississippi River in the US, and approaching Hudson's Bay in Canada. The Great Plains are subdivided into low and high plains based on their elevations. Many areas of the high plains are 4,000 to 5,000 feet in elevation. Most of the low plains are closer to 1,000 feet in elevation or less. If you have ever seen the Clint Eastwood movie entitled High Plains Drifter, it is based in the high plains of North America. And here we have a map here that we want to look at. So generally, what I'm trying to show here is that this beige area on this map that spans the entire region of North America is flat. This right here is one of the greatest globe debunks you'll ever find. This entire region that spans all of North America is called the Great Plains for a reason. Plain meaning flat.
Globe debunk number 5. Earth is motionless. For Earth to rotate with the motions defined by heliocentrism, we could feel acceleration and deceleration as demonstrated in this experiment. Not only do we not feel, nor can we measure any acceleration and deceleration, but Ares failed to detect any movement of Earth whatsoever. We demand the defendants provide measurable, repeatable evidence for the acceleration, deceleration, and movement of Earth, without which the heliocentric model has no basis for any explanation regarding sunrise, sunset, and the seasons.
So, the Erie Highway in Australia. The Erie Highway is a 1,030-mile highway linking Western Australia and Southern Australia. Signed as National Highways 1 and A1, it forms part of Highway 1 in the Australian National Highway network linking Perth to Adelaide. It was named after explorer Edward John Airy, who was the first European to cross the Nullarbor by land in 1840 and 1841. The construction of the east-west telegraph line in the 1870s along Erie's route resulted in a hazardous trail that could be followed for the interstate travel. A national highway was called for, but the federal government did not see the route as important enough until 1941, when a war in the Pacific seemed imminent. The highway was constructed between July of 1941 and June of 1942, but was trafficable by January 1942. Though originally named Forest Highway after John Forrest by the War Cabinet, it was officially named and gazetted Erie Highway, a name agreed upon by the state's nomenclature committees. The old-fashioned road, while an improvement over the previous route, still was not much more than a track, and remained such throughout the 1940s to 1950s. Efforts to seal the highway began in Norseman in 1960. With Western Australia's selection completed in 1969, and the South Australian section finished in 1976. Further improvements have been undertaken since the 1980s, including widening and reconstructing portions of the road. Let's get into the good part here. The Erie Highway is the only sealed road linking the states of Western Australia to Southern Australia, running east from Norseman in the Western Australia for 1,200 kilometers across the Nullarbor Plain. What's that? Another plain. Flat plain. It then crosses the top of the Erie Peninsula as it continues eastwards for 470 more kilometers before reaching the Port Augusta. Erie Highway is part of the national highway route between Perth and Adelaide, and it forms part of Australia's Highway 1. It goes on to say here, the Western Australia section of the Erie Highway is on the western side of Nullarbor Plain. The South Australian section crosses the eastern section of the Nullarbor Plain, and at the top of the Erie Peninsula. The Nullarbor gets its name from Latin for no tree, and the typical view is that of a straight highway, particularly unchanging flat salt brush covered terrain. And the typical view of the straight highway and particularly unchanging flat salt brush covered terrain. Although some parts are located on ridges, the Erie Peninsula has been extensively cleared for agriculture, although there are remnant corridors of native eucalyptus woodlands along its roads. So again, the Erie Highway in the Australian Great Plains is a road that's flat, that stretches all the way across this land, 1,000 miles. It's flat plain. You live on a flat earth.
Globe debunk number 3. The horizon rises to the eye level of the observer. As can be demonstrated by any 3D modeling program, if we were on a sphere, the horizon would always be beneath the feet of a person standing at sea level looking out over an ocean, and as that person gained altitude, the horizon would only get lower. This is true at any scale, and the scale suggested by heliocentric supporters is a sphere with a 3959-mile radius, requiring 600 feet of drop in 30 miles, 1,067 feet of drop in 40 miles, and 1,667 feet of drop in 50 miles. The highest observation deck of any building on Earth is the Burj Khalifa, checking in at 1,823 feet. A distance to the horizon calculator lets us know that at 1,823 feet, the horizon is 52.3 miles away. So in this image captured from the Burj Khalifa observatory deck, the distance of the clouds at the horizon is 52.3 miles, thus requiring at least 1,667 feet of drop. On a globe, that means that the furthest clouds we saw from the observation deck would be at least 1,667 feet below the observer at the shoreline. As you went up to the observation deck, the horizon would only go down. Yet the evidence shows that the higher you go, the horizon does not go down, but actually rises with the viewer. This can be demonstrated on a flat plane, but cannot be replicated with a sphere. Globe debunk number 4. Gyroscopes on the ground and in airplanes do not process. Original gyroscopes used in air travel had no electronics and did not process throughout journeys. The gyroscope of an airplane unassisted by electronics would process 90 degrees with each quarter of the sphere traveled. The artificial horizon indicator would be upside down 180 degrees, having flown half the circumference of a globe Earth. For the defendants to claim sphericity, they must demonstrate both an unelectronically assisted gyroscope, process a full 360 degrees during a circumnavigational flight, and throughout a full rotation of Earth from the ground.
There's no other way you'll survive this. Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Humanity in chains. The faithful sect awarded death. Your work was not in vain.
Stay where you are. You can 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 stay where you are.
So in conclusion, whether you want to talk about how water always levels out, no matter its container, whether it be in a glass of water or in a pool, or even the Great Lakes, and finally, to all the oceans in our great realm, the same principle is always observed when tested. Water flows downhill and when at rest, levels out. And land that rises up out of the sea is also measured level and flat. I have shown you vast areas of the realm, like the Erie Highway in Australia that spans over 1,000 miles over flat land. Or we look at the Great American Plains covering nearly 500,000 square miles in North America. Time after time, the modeling and measurements always remain flat and stationary. And this is because this is what it is. We always observe and measure it flat and stationary, giving our true reality its manifest through our open eyes. Also, a key fact to point out is that the Salar likely was created through the Andes Mountains rising up into the sky, roughly 4,500 years ago as the earth was ripped open. The fountains of the deep burst forth with tremendous amounts of water pressure, finally leveling out in the valley we now call the Salar de Uyuni. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch some of the evidence collected along the way by two carpenters in North America. Always stay limitless, and don't you ever forget to shine. Your move, Ball Earthers. Your move.
Did it look cool?
Yeah, but you need like.
Don't you worry, keep on sleeping. I'll wake you in the morning. you worry, keep on sleeping. You can stay where you are.
Kinda ironic. Paint the sky with rainbows. I mean, paint the sky with rainbows.
I like to paint the sky with rainbows.
Hello. Wow. That was amazing. That just took Flat Earth to a whole new level, right? Whole new level. The Great Plains, water, all that stuff. Yeah, so that is going to be some gravy for people to share Flat Earth with. Go ahead and try to debunk anything that was shared in that. It's all fact, and it's all right in front of us. It's undeniable. So, great job, brother. Great job, brother. I wish you were feeling better. It's so sad that on the day that you'd be releasing this, that you're so under the weather. But at least it's out there. So it's going to be premiering on the Limitless Channel tomorrow, and I'll premiere it on the Wake Souls channel as well as just its own standalone video. But everybody that joined us here this New Year's Eve, the end of 2021, you got to see the first sneak peek, and you got some backstage access here. So I'm going to be with you this evening to answer any questions that you have, and we'll be getting into the year in review in a little bit. But hey, what does everybody think? What did you think of that? Come on. So one of the things that we like to do is we like to create eye candy. We like to make videos that are fun to watch. That at the end of it, you should feel some inspiration. It should actually, you should feel it. Actually feel it. So, whew. Let me take a look here in the chat. YD, wow. Joseph Bender, Undeniable, Lexivan, All Gravy, No Cheese. Well, I'm from Wisconsin. Gravy and cheese. In fact, with Ronnie being from Canada, poutine, right? That's gravy and cheese curds. Let's see here. Yeah, Lex Fan Man says, hope it blows up big. Well, you know, with Ronnie and I being who we are, we don't have the expectations that it'll just blow up and be big. If we were fake flat earthers and promoting an impossible model of this reality, and then I'm sure it would have tons and tons of support. But considering that we go against the grain of flat earth and won't bend to models that are impossible and can be debunked, it puts us into a different category. And we know it, but at the same time, we're not going to bend. We'll stand fast to what is the truth and what is provable. So, whew, that was an inspirational rush right there. And now I'm feeling like next time I make a flat earth video, the bar's been set really high. So, yow. Woo. All right. Well, let's see now. Maybe I'll move into a screen share and take a look at the year in review a little bit. and it'll be a little bit easier for me to see what's going on in the chat that way. So let me get that set up now. All right. It's nice when you have a co-host to be able to cover some of the transitional time. Not the transitional time that the fake flat earthers are into, but actually moving between scenes. So here we are at the Limitless Channel. Everybody, this is the creator of what you just saw there. And you can see that it's set to premiere tomorrow at 8 p.m. on the Limitless Channel. And so let's scroll back here across the year. And you're going to see that we did the 2020 New Year's Eve year in review on the Limitless Channel right here. So this is, let me make sure, I have to see how much of this is showing. All right, so now you can see this is where we were a year ago. We were on the Limitless Channel. We had a pre-show party where Ronnie had a playlist of music. And so then the streams that we did after that, we did Pull the Rug, the Electoral College certification. So who remembers the whole Trump thing? That was going on. That was going on back then. It seems like so long ago. But after that, it was the deplatforming. So during this time period, this is when the content creators just started getting hammered and knocked off the platforms. So this is where I was going through my strikes. A lot of channels were being taken down. And there's only a few of us left that actually are truther channels that, you know, will fight for the big truths, flat earth, the nature of this reality, who created it, all that kind of stuff. A lot of channels got knocked out. So then we were talking about atomism and how Kabbalism and atomism are hand in hand. So the nature of our reality, if you believe that everything's made up of atoms, unfortunately you're a Kabbalist, because that is a Kabbalist teaching. They're the ones that made that up. Just look up atomism. Right? It's a thing. It was created by the ancient Greeks, and they said everything's made up of spinning buckyballs that are too small to be measured, and they've never been able to measure one. Right? So all it is theoretical, purely theoretical. Everything that you've ever heard about material reality being made up of atoms, it's just a Kabbalist religious position, and it's not true either. All right, so then we had to go through Biden being inaugurated. I was one of the people that thought Trump was gonna stay in. I didn't see Biden winning. That one threw me for a loop. And now that he's you know, almost a year now, he's in a prime position now where if Biden were to be taken out and Trump come back in, we have the biblical prophecy of the sixth king becoming the eighth king after the seventh rules for a short time. So Trump and Biden are the only ones that really have the setup where Trump was in there. Now, if Biden was in there for like a year or so, and then somehow, some way or another, Trump came back, that would be a biblical fulfillment to that prophecy. And Yeah, so who knows? I mean, we think that Trump has the best shot at being the Antichrist character that would be the fulfillment of that prophecy. Let's see here. So then so we've got the 4 fundamental truths that we've had for like 4 years now, and we've been adding to them. We added the 5th one, the true Hebrew calendar, and the 6th one, anti-Trinitarianism. So we started talking about that. Are you anti-Trinity? And we've got the Matrix theme going on, because we're the ones that show people that, yeah, it's true. We actually do live in some sort of simulation type realm, that atomism is not true. And it stinks that the new movie was so, they didn't do a good job with it at all. But yeah, Trinity is a Kabbalistic teaching. That's where the Trinity comes from. It was brought into, it's like, it was the Council of Nicaea 325 that they went the way of the Trinity back then. And so this is a deep Christian tenet that if you're believing that the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, that all three are one and the same, you've been psyoped. It's not true. The Father is the Father, and the Son is the Son, and the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit. They're not all three the same. And so we've gone in and did the studies and shown what the origins of the Trinity are, and how from the Bible you can actually show that it's false. It's not true. They only have a couple of scriptures that they can point to, and mistranslations. We've pointed it out. John 1:1 is probably one of the most important mistranslations in the Bible. So then we get to this point here where then we switched over to the Awake Souls channel. So my strikes had faded, so let's go back and all right, starting to center up again. So I got a bunch of videos that were on private because of the strikes. I got a bunch of them back up today. And so you can see that 10 months ago, so that's when we switched back over here 10 months ago, we were going after Adam Fink, Parable of the Vineyard. He brought the Freemason New World Order AE map model into explaining the Hebrew calendar and in Enoch, the circuits of the gates that are talked about as far as the sun gates. We've shown in detail where those 6 gates are and how they work. He pointed out, see, this is the thing that drove me nuts about Adam is we knew him right from the Revelation 12 sign, and he knew us, and he would come and linger in the chat, and we let him know over and over and over and over that the sun, moon, and stars cannot be doing circles around a single polar point. It's dumb to think that they are. And so we started going after him, really calling him out hard for supporting this psyop. He brought in Rob Skiba, of all people. Rob Skiba is the guy that made so many, like the Hebrew terrarium, all these. It's bad. We'll get to Rob Skiba in a little bit. That's part of the year in review. So one of the things that we always point out is that with this Freemason New World Order AE map model, the sun has to be 3,000 miles up. Has to be. Now, David Weiss will say, no, you're It's a straw man. We don't say that it's 3,000 miles up. No, of course you don't say it's 3,000 miles up, because everybody would be able to just laugh at you in the face because of this. Right? We see the sun come up underneath clouds and go through clouds and go up above them. Right? So we just keep pointing this out to everybody, and some people get it, and other people it just goes right over their head. So this right here, we got into sundials and the equinox, because this right here, understanding how a sundial works, where the sun rises and which direction it's going to cast a shadow, where it's going to set, which direction it's going to cast a shadow. You know, Adam Fink told everybody, get yourself a sundial. It's got ancient wisdom in it. It'll tell you when the equinox is. Right? It's pretty easy. It'll rise 90 degrees east and it'll set 270 degrees west. And based off of that, you'll know that you're at the equinox, and you need to know when the equinox is, because in order to reckon the true Hebrew calendar, you have to look for the first new moon after the equinox, the spring equinox. All right, so we've used this opportunity to help people understand how the sun actually goes from horizon to horizon, arcing around each observer, every single observer on Earth. So clouds behind the sun, this is one of the best simulation proofs you're ever going to come across. And it's nice because anybody can go buy themselves a zoom camera, and they can record this for themselves, and then they can see for themselves that nobody's faking it here. You can't explain this away as being the sun's so bright. You can actually see that it's locally illuminating the clouds around it right here. Here's another way that you can absolutely know that the sun is below people on an airplane at a certain time. So anybody that's ever flown in an airplane at near sunrise or sunset, which way is the light being cast from your window? If you're sitting there in your seat, you look out the window, there's the sun, it looks like it's below you, right? But is it below you? Well, which direction is that light being cast? If you ever see the light reflecting up on the overhead bins, right, or on the ceiling in the plane, the sun's below you. Sun is below you. So even Wolfie69, we'll use him at times because he is a pilot. He's a heliocentric shill, but so he thinks that he's debunking flat Earth by saying that the sun is below the airplane. No, he's not debunking flat Earth. He's debunking the Freemason New World Order AE map and model. That's what he's debunking. So then we've done so many hangouts where we explain the local sun, how it actually rises, sets, rotates around the observer, the path that it takes on the equinox, on the solstices, all of that. So we've been, like I said, the fifth fundamental truth is that true Hebrew calendar. And then there were guys like, Leland Jones. This became the opportunity where once you start understanding how the month works, and that there's 29 or 30 days in a month, anybody that's trying to keep Sabbath on any named day of the week is a fool, right? If you try to keep it on a Friday, if you try to keep it on a Saturday, if you try to keep it on a Sunday, you're being a fool, because if there's 29 or 30 days in a month and weeks are 7 days long, it doesn't divide out evenly, which means that every month it's going to change the named day of a week. It has to. It's impossible for it not to. And so anybody that wants to be a Sabbath keeper, you got to pay attention to when that new moon is and realize that next month it's not going to be on the same day of the week as it was this month. All right, so then we did some more anti-Trinitarian work. We did some more anti-atomism work. And then there were characters like this used to be the buddy Justin Best or Bustin' Jest, or he's changed his name so many times now. Jay Breezy. He was Adam Fink's partner in crime, and he really went off the rails. Now this was a prediction that we had made that came true, unfortunately, that he was going to actually become a flat out denier. He denies Christ. He denies the accuracy of the Bible, and he's just gone full. He was a Judaizer, and then he was going to be talk about how he was a hero and how narcissism is bad, but he seems to be gone, which is great because he was bad. So more sundials, more Adam Fink. Then it's more work on the True Hebrew Calendar. So, guys, Nick Vanderlane used to be around. He's gone now. Dr. Barry Aw, he's sporadically still putting stuff out. But, yeah. So, Dr. Barry Aw is one of the few channels that is actually on the True Hebrew Calendar right now. He's watching. He knows that we're in the 9th month. We're going to be coming up on the 10th month soon. So we're actually in Hanukkah right now. We are in Hanukkah. Most people in the world think that happened a month ago, but we are in Hanukkah right now. So we went after Max Egan. He did some gross stuff, and he was doing some spell casting. And we pointed that out. Let's see. So the Rockets. Who remembers the Rockets? Gaza versus Israel. So we keep on pointing out hoax wars. We just recently did a war as a hoax hangout. Back here, these rockets, it was absolutely horrible. Every time they do this stuff, it's comedic as to how bad the psyops are that they're running. And so we just keep pointing it out. Now this is a interesting hangout here for anybody that is interested in knowing how the Great Tribulation is going to play out, because we did a detailed chronology of the events of the first half of the Great Tribulation. And so what we did is we took the 6 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls that are in the scriptures in Revelation, and we lined it all up so that people should be able to see what to expect and when. So when the Great Tribulation kicks off, I'm just going to let everybody know the first bowl that's poured out are the sores on the people that took the mark of the wild animal. And so that means that people have to have already taken that mark before the Great Tribulation starts in order for those sores to go on the people that took it. So some people don't want to realize that what's taking place right now is that marking that is in the scriptures. And then we had Bezos and his, I'm just going to say it, penis rocket. I mean, it's one of the most disgusting psyops you've ever seen before. It's an absolute joke. So as soon as you look into it in any detail, you can see what a psyop it is. We keep calling it out every time they do it. Not every time, but the big main ones. Now, Dirty David Weiss is somebody that we've been going against for like 4 years now. So people that just saw the recent spat of us going back and forth against each other, it's been going on for a long, long, long time. So remember David Weiss was part of these documentaries. We point out all the flaws. This is the worst thing that ever happened to Flat Earth. David Weiss, Jaron, Bob Nodell, Mark Sargent, Pat Steer, Eric Dubay, all these characters are literally the worst thing that ever happened to Flat Earth. They're what's ruining it and making it hard for any globe earthers to actually be able to come over to Flat Earth. So we show people how the Freemason Flat Earth is impossible. Just hang out right here. The Freemason Flat Earth Impossibilities. Check it out. Let's see here. So there must have been a jump. Let's go back to the Limitless Channel, and you'll see that, yeah, so 4 months ago, let's see, we were doing hangouts on simulation. We're going after Steve Fletcher. So he's supporting Kabbalah and not good. So Jerry Tooney, Dr. Barry Aw, God in a Minute. These are all like these end times watching channels that are supposed to be Christians, that they don't stand with truth. They don't stand with truth. Each one of these are all globe earthers. They've fallen for the grand delusion, the great delusion, and there's a whole bunch of other teachings that they're teaching that are wrong too. So calling that stuff out. And we touched on the topic of reincarnation, and this is a topic that we're going to have to, I'm seeing 2022 as being the year that we really dive into that topic. It's not mandatory as far as you don't have to believe in it in order to be saved and make your way into the new world. Scriptures don't say anything about an understanding of reincarnation being necessary. But for those of you that are curious, that want to know everything that there is in the scriptures about this topic and what can be deciphered, what can we figure out, it's a fun research project is what it is. And so I think we'll probably spend more time on that in 2022. So we were pushing for people to come meet up with us here in Austin, and it didn't. We had some people come, and I don't know that we're going to be doing that anymore. I don't know that we're going to be pushing for that anymore. So the parables. This is something that Ronnie, the Limitless Channel, this is his specialty. So before I met Ronnie through Flat Earth, he was deep scripture guy that was into all the extra canonical scriptures. He had known Robert Farrell of Apocryphal 1970, I think it is. And so the parables, this is learning the higher level understanding, the spiritual level understanding in the scriptures. And this is important, because for a person that's just operating on an earthly understanding, when they read the scriptures, they'll just see, Yahawahashai was eating bread or drinking water, fed people bread and gave them wine and stuff like this, that they purely see it as literal and don't get any other understanding out from it, when there's actually multiple layers that can be understood. So the scriptures really do come alive. They become three-dimensional, hyper-dimensional, once you understand how to use the keys. And So Ronnie teaches that better than anybody else in the entire world. All right, so then we had the fall equinox. So we're always pointing out what equinoxes, what does that mean? So the equinoxes debunk the globe and the Freemason New World Order AE map model. Just both in one shot. All you got to do is look at the equinox. Boom, done. I don't understand why we don't have everybody in the world as a flat earth simulation knowing person yet, but eventually they all will be. So we get here to 2 months ago, we were looking at the Feast of Trumpets. Yeah, that crazy Venus footage. All right, so that's that happened. That was right at the Feast of Trumpets, right? I think, or it was with the new moon sighting, I think. Yeah, the first Tishri 3. So then we went through the Cave of Treasures. And then Rob Skiba. So this is really sort of like more our recent type stuff now. This is when Rob Skiba supposedly transitioned. All right. And we called it out right away. Showed that there's no evidence for it. Plus, we would expect him to be one of the Freemason New World Order PSYOP guys that would actually pull this type of death fake. And so we first called it out, and that set off some fireworks. And then more Cave of the Treasures. And then the High Impact Flicks versus Richie from Boston. So this is when the fake Flat Earth tried doing a fake division, where they set off this fake conflict between same sides, and we called it out right away. And then right on the heels of that came the Mac Parhar transition, which we had totally called in advance that he was going to. It wasn't linked to COVID. They didn't directly link it that he was a COVID death, but anybody that was following along could see that he had set everything up to. He said he was taking the ivermectin, and I think Skeebers and Parhar are probably sitting on the beach in Mexico right now. And then that brings us up to current on Ronnie's channel. So then here's where the Venus glitch out was. And then we went on a terror here. Most people probably remember these recent, where there's 7.77. Each one of these had to do with what was transpiring during this fake flat earth breakup. So it's pretty recent. I think anybody that's been following along with us is going to remember all of these. Then we're always paying attention to the signs in the heavens. That the white horse rider with the crown, that is what's taking place in the signs right now in the heavens. Hopefully something comes soon. There's some re-ups that I did, like the Pearl Harbor. Maybe people hadn't seen it, so I re-upped that on Pearl Harbor Day, on the anniversary. War is a hoax, everybody. And then, of course, the big event when Ronnie and I went on the Baby Truther show. So I felt like it went pretty good. We we had our opportunity to share our map and model. And of course, we know that that team, the fake flat earthers, they're with the New World Order AE map and model for a reason. For a reason. It's because they're Freemasons and Jesuits and Knights Templars. It's part of their New World Order plan. They do false dichotomies. They do globe versus a fake flat earth. Both are wrong, so they can control both sides. Right? The one thing that disrupts that is having a third party come along and share the truth. So we did what we can to disrupt it and wake as many people up as possible. And people are just going to do what they're going to do, right? So we continue to bang on David Weiss, Jeranism, all those people, pointing out how David Weiss was knighted. He is a royal arch knight. He was knighted by John B. Wells. PK was knighted at the same time. We pointed out this was an old hangout where Mark Sargent's handler, Jonathan, they really spilled the beans on the whole narrative right there. This is old, from 2015. Let's see. Then we challenged David Weiss. He cucked out. And we've got what was it, Conspiracy Music Guru. He pointed out how Dave's gay recently, and so that brings us really back to where we are presently. And yeah, we'll probably be live this Sunday night, and depending on how Ronnie feels. If he's not feeling better, we might not go live. But that's the year in review. So I wasn't able to watch the chat too much while I was scrolling through and doing that. Let me do a little bit of a rewind here. See if I was missing much. Doesn't look like I was missing a whole lot. How's everybody doing this New Year's Eve? It's not much of an exciting one. Not much of an exciting one here. Fireworks going off. Neighbors are blowing stuff up. There's really nothing to go out and do. The whole world's on hiatus because of this cerveza. And I would rather see the Great Tribulation get kicked off than see things just keep lingering on the way they are, because the sooner we get it started, it means the sooner we get it over with. Well, without somebody to bounce conversation back and forth with, I don't know that there's too much more that I really want to go on about. I'm definitely not going to sit here and talk like this until to midnight here. This might be a quick New Year's Eve special, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed Ronnie's new Flat Earth video. I hope you all join for the premieres, so you can be in the chat. And then share it. That's the main thing. So YouTube's got us on the most censored list that they possibly can. We were the absolute guinea pigs, the test subjects that they tested every one of their censorship things on from the get-go. As soon as Trump came in, that's when the full censorship came out. So Trump's a bad guy. He's the father of the mark of the wild animal, and he's the leading censor. And I'd like to I'd like to have my opportunity to have a face-to-face with that guy. Let him know what I think of him. So this might be it for this evening, everyone. I don't know that I need to play the intro out, because it's so celebratory. Well, maybe I'll just go ahead and play the intro out again. But thank you for joining, everyone. Pray for Ronnie. Pray that he feels better. Pray for everybody that's feeling sick right now. I had this, and it's brutal. It hurt. It hurt a lot. I haven't been that miserable in a long time. So, till next time, the only place you're ever going to hear this is on Yahawahashai News Network.
Celebration tonight. Celebrate. Don't wait too late. No, we don't stop. You can't stop. We're gonna celebrate one more time. One more time. One more time, a celebration. Know we're gonna do it right tonight. Hey, just feel it. Music's got me feeling the need, yeah. Come on, alright, we're gonna celebrate one more time. Celebrate and dance so free. Music's got me feeling so free. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free.